Hi everybody, it's Lori. Welcome back to the channel. So I think I would like to start doing something called Thursday Therapy. Therapy Thursdays. Something like that. So I'm not sure if everybody knows, but I do go to therapy every week. And I will start this by saying, if you don't go to therapy, go to therapy. It is something that I think everybody should do for themselves. I unpack a lot of stuff when I go. Sometimes I go and there's not much that we talk about, to be honest with you, and that's okay. But sometimes we go and there's a lot of depth to it, and I learn a lot of things. I am not a doctor. When I was young and people talked about therapy, you didn't talk about therapy. It's not something you talk about. And you definitely didn't tell anybody if you had anxiety or depression or anything like that. And I think maybe we've gone a little bit the other way, where people are just like throwing those words around a little too much. But I just really think it's a good thing to talk about, to be vocal about. I think everybody has baggage. Everybody has a past. Everybody has some things, and you never know what somebody's going through. And I don't, one of the things that my therapist said to me this week was, with everything that you've been through in your life, you could be a nasty, mean person, but that's not who you are. And I've never been that person. I don't think your past, your struggles give you permission to be a mean person. I don't think so. I remember a few years ago I was doing Instacart and I was actually at the register paying, and there was this woman and her husband. She was a little bit older and she was just throwing her things around. We were at self-checkout. She was demanding that people come over and take the stuff out of her cart. She was just being the meanest, nastiest person to the poor young girl that was working. And I watched her and kept my mouth shut, and I usually do. But then I finally was just like, I said, she can't say anything to you because she'll lose her job. But I'm watching you, and you are just being the meanest, nastiest, most horrible human being to this poor girl who's just trying to do her job. Like, how could you treat people like that? And the husband piped up and said, you don't know what she's going through. Her mother is sick or whatever. And it was in that moment that I realized, my husband was home at the time with heart failure. I didn't know in the next moment if I was going to get a phone call saying, we lost him, or my defibrillator went off, I have to go to the hospital. Like, I lived with that every single day, and I never treated people that way. And I don't think that gives you the right to treat people that way. So I have no idea why I said all that. But as far as my channel goes, one of the things that we talked about in therapy this week was, she was very excited for me because I have a sense of purpose with this channel. For the first time in a long time, I have this sense of something that's mine, something that is for me, something that I'm doing that I want to do, not for somebody else, which is a little bit out of character. But what began as my story about Frank, my husband, what began as my story about me being his caretaker and him having, heart failure and then a heart transplant and muscular dystrophy. I don't want to live there. And it's great that I start my story there, and I'm trying to think about, this is definitely going to morph, but I'm thinking about what I want to do with this channel, what the end goal is. And at first I thought, okay, I have this unique situation to share with people that, my husband had heart transplant. He's a Marine Corps veteran. He's disabled. He has muscular dystrophy, all of those things. But those aren't about me. And I actually had a conversation, with my mom, and I had said to her, something along the lines of, this is why I started the channel. And it literally was just not about him. It was about me. I was out running errands. I was out all day. I was picking up, going grocery shopping, getting things that were needing to be done. And then he had called me and said, my medicine is ready to be picked up. And I was just so frustrated because I was like, I'm doing everything. I know I have to pick it up for him. It's not a surprise, but it just hit me like, add one more thing to my list, and it just stressed me. And the thing is, when he got sick, my whole life became about him. And I completely lost everything about myself. And I think that is where I want my focus to be, about how that happens, how easily that happens, and my journey back to myself. I know my first videos were all about him, not about me. But one of the things I did learn through therapy, honestly, is that what happened, and this is true for so many people in so many different scenarios, different situations. It doesn't have to be your husband has heart failure and muscular dystrophy and he had a transplant. I mean, it could be a divorce. It could be your own illness. It could be just life got in the way, whatever it is. What I learned is that what happened didn't define me. I didn't choose to stay there, unpack my bags, and live there. I am choosing to live. And that is not an easy thing to do, especially when you're with a partner that either chooses not to meet you there or can't meet you there. You have to make that decision for yourself. And sometimes there's not even a partner involved, but you have to make that decision for yourself. That is not an easy decision, but it is such an important decision. And you have to, and I know I've said this before, but you have to find joy in little things, in big things, in whatever, and for me, if this works for you, I'm going to tell you what I did. I started carrying a little notebook with me, and I've said this before. I'll probably say it 10 more times, but I encourage you to do that. Carry a little notebook with you. Keep it in your pocketbook, keep it in your car, keep it, wherever. Keep it in your nightstand. I encourage you to keep it with you though, because you'll be out and about doing things and realize, oh my God, that brings me joy. Now, right now, I don't know if you could see out my window there. It's fall in New England, and the leaves are falling and they're changing, and until you experience it, you might not think to write that down, but for me, the beauty of that brings me joy. So sitting in this and seeing it, I had to drive my sister to an appointment yesterday. The poor sister broke her couple vertebrae in her back, and we were driving to the doctor's, and all of a sudden these leaves started falling just in one group. They just were falling across the highway, and it was just so beautiful. Take the time to be mindful and see those things, recognize those things, feel those things, enjoy those things. They're a gift. They're just beautiful. So recognize the beauty in things. Recognize the things that bring you joy, even for just a split second. One thing this week I remembered is that I enjoy listening to music while I cook. I haven't done that in years. So sometimes I just put the music on. Sometimes I put my earbuds in and I sing like I'm in concert. I don't care who's listening. I enjoy that. And so I do that. And that is something I started doing for myself. And for some reason I just forgot. And these are the little steps that you can take to reclaim yourself, to reclaim you. One thing that my therapist said to me, like, I challenge you guys to carry those notebooks around and, think about the things that bring you joy. My therapist was very happy to hear that I'm doing this and sharing my story and encouraging others to do the same. She challenged me to give myself grace, which is something I am not good at. To just realize that I need grace in certain moments where I really get very, very hard on myself. So I am trying really hard to practice that grace this week. I realize that's not an easy thing for me to do, but one thing she also did say that struck me was that I have to fill my cup. And if I don't fill my cup, I don't have the energy to expend taking care of everybody else around me that I have to take care of. And my husband actually said to me this week, I've been actively working on all of this, and I was singing, I was just being goofy or something, and he said, I haven't seen you like this in a long time. So I am thinking something's working. Something on some level is taking place. And it's tiny, it's small, it's a step, but it's a step in the right direction. So I encourage you all to do the same. Fill your cup. Have that energy so others around you recognize that, you're different. You're taking care of yourself. You don't realize how important that is. I didn't realize how important that was. I'm starting to. I'm not going to say I do realize. I'm not going to say I'm there. I'm not. I'm not. I have a long road ahead of me of healing. Hopefully we'll take that journey together and we can all heal. One thing that I can honestly tell you is I've been thinking about getting back to exercising a lot. I think some of you will understand this. Just the thought of exercising, that's huge, because if you really think about it fundamentally, that's putting yourself first in a situation. It's thinking about yourself. And for me, and maybe it's not the same for everybody, but for me to even think about exercising means I'm taking, say, an hour to myself every day and not thinking about the house and not thinking about everything else and everybody else that I have to think about and do for. I'm in that moment for that 1 hour saying, nope, nothing else but me. That's kind of huge. And so for me, just even thinking about it, it's a step in the right direction. I know that I'm heading towards, it shouldn't be that difficult. I know it shouldn't be that. It should just be, okay, I need to do this. And I envy those of you who could just say, okay, I'm going to do this. It doesn't work that way in my brain, and I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. And so I'm thinking about it, and I know eventually I'm going to act on those feelings, and I'm actually going to do the work of doing the exercising and putting myself first. And I've done it before. I'll do it again for sure. But I will say this. I have a whole separate Facebook account that I send recipes to. I don't know if everybody does this, but I send exercise videos to. I send memes to, just like things that I want to save. So I send them to myself. And I noticed I've been sending a lot of like low impact chair workouts, all that kind of stuff. And then one of the things I realized this week is I'm continuing. I'm doing it again. Those aren't exercises for me. They're for my husband. They're so he could do low impact and maybe, sit and do weights and sit and do these exercises. And I'm like, that's not me. If he wants to do those, he should research those himself. But here I am again doing that, even in exercising where I want to try to put myself first. I'm thinking about exercises that he'll be able to do, which really makes no sense if you think about it, because he hasn't even asked for me to do that. I just do it. So now this week I have consciously been looking at, just different things that I want from me, that I want to work on from me. I just never realized how hard it is to put yourself first, to just put yourself damn first. So if anybody has any tips, feel free to comment. I would really appreciate if you hit the subscribe button, be part of this growing community. Once you hit subscribe, there's a little notification bell. You can hit that if you'd like to see future videos. When they pop up, you'll be notified. Hit the like button. Look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.